Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to this new focus group blockchain and DLT workshop of the European Digital SME Alliance, organized today in synergy with the Blockstand project and Digital SMEs Focus Group Sustainability. So we're here today with some great speakers, some with us in person in Brussels, to my left and to my right, and some of us connecting online as well. So the idea today is to talk about the topic of blockchain and environmental sustainability, which, as you can imagine, is quite a timely topic. So here is the program ahead of us for the afternoon. That can also be found on the event page if you want to refer to it across the duration of the workshop. We're going to have a short update on the focus group blockchain, then some updates and opportunities deriving from the Blockstand project that some of you may have heard of already if you're connecting today for the topic of this workshop. And then after that, we'll dive straight into the topic with a keynote address by Pierre Marot, Policy Officer at the European Commission, DG Connect, and working notably on blockchain technology policy. Following that, Belén Suarez, who is to my left today, and made the honor of coming from sunny Spain to slightly less sunny Brussels for the occasion, will be presenting the scope of the discussion today, and notably the underpinnings of the draft technical reports on environmental and sustainability classification methodology. Quite a mouthful. I hope I haven't lost too many people at this point, which is under development in her working group at Sensenelex JTC 19 on blockchain and DLTs, of which she is the convener. So this will be the basis of our discussion this afternoon, and we are lucky to have some very high-level experts with us around the room and virtually to share their thoughts with us, share any feedback, and especially explain to everybody connecting this afternoon why this is such a crucial topic for companies to be ahead of, be one step ahead of, and the implications for society altogether. So beyond Belén, we have with us Tom de Block, who's connecting online, steering board vice chair at the Alliance for Internet of Things Innovation. We have Gregor Senkier, a standardization expert at ISO TC 307 on blockchain and DLTs. Eric Cohen from Cohen Computer Consulting, also part of the same TC at ISO. Lena Klassen, co-founder of the Crypto Carbon Rating Institute. And last but not least, Christian Grafenauer from Sensenelex JTC 19 on blockchain and DLT, who at the end of the workshop will present a new initiative collecting use cases on measurements of blockchain's environmental impact. So quite a lot to look forward to for the afternoon. Before starting, perhaps a few practical considerations. The workshop will be recorded in order for it to be displayable on the event page at the end of the workshop, so that people that registered but that couldn't come in the end have the capacity to catch up on all main messages and get in touch with us if they have any questions. And talking of questions and interventions, the microphones for the participants are turned off by default. So if you want to leave a question or make an intervention, you can either write it in the chats and it can be relayed to the speakers, or you can put your hand up virtually or put a message in the chat to signal your intent to take the floor, and we can then make sure to give you the floor. Overall, we want this to be a very interactive and lively discussion, so don't let the mic issue be a hindrance for you. Feel free. We want this to be as lively as possible. So with these considerations aside, I'll start with a few updates on the focus group blockchain, because I know that quite some people are connecting for the first time and are maybe wondering in what framework this workshop is happening. So maybe perhaps a quick recap of when and why it was launched. So we started this group end of December 2023, so it's quite recent. And the idea is to have a platform for blockchain SME innovators, expanding the outreach of a previous group, a previous smaller task force that existed internally to Digital SME a few years ago, and to expand it to other blockchain innovators, digital enablers, sectoral experts working with or around blockchain technology. So the aim of this group is to closely align the business, policy, and standardization spheres of blockchain, for the benefit of SMEs. And in particular, the standardization components that we are going to discuss today in this workshop is something that is often little known by many companies. And this is even more the case for small and medium enterprises, which is why we thought it to be a central part of the activities of this group. So this is why the group is aligned and in partnership with the Blockstand project, which is a new EU-funded project on blockchain standardization, and of which you'll hear a bit more in a few minutes. That being said, what we want is especially this group to be a place where SMEs can find relevant opportunities for them, can support their business activities. And this comes through different identified funding opportunities shared with the group, information sharing on critical business and policy developments, and finally, a very strong business-to-business angle. And this is why in our launch events, end of December, we announced that we would be developing a catalog of blockchain solutions developed by SMEs in the group. And this catalog is now live since a couple of weeks. There's already been a few submissions coming in, and the idea is to have the possibility for members of this focus group to display their solutions publicly across our large community of 45,000 members. And the aim after that is to organize matchmaking sessions between the different companies and even companies which are not in the blockchain sector per se, to be able to inform other companies about respective work being done, get informed about the different solutions existing, and eventually to serve as the basis for deeper collaboration between different companies. We aim to publish these solutions at the end of 2024 in a report on European SME blockchain solutions to be widely disseminated and notably shared with European policymakers to better stress the range of small European companies developing tangible blockchain solutions in the markets. So I'll put the link to the catalog in the chats in a few minutes. You can also scan the QR code on the slide if you want to access it directly on your phones. And if you have any questions about this initiative, feel free to reach out to me after the end of this workshop. Last thing to mention before moving on into the key debates of the day. From next time onwards, the internal meetings of the focus group will be registered members only. So if you're interested, join the group formally. You have the QR code here on the screen, which takes you directly to the page of the group. So no excuses. And if you have any questions about it, of course, you can reach out to me after the workshop. In the next meeting, we will also proceed with the election of the chairs of the group. Just a couple words on the role of the chairs. The chairs will basically support and drive the work of the group, suggesting different activities, different initiatives, topics to reflect upon. If you have any practical questions on how to apply the details of the position, you can reach out to me after the workshop. So this is it for the short recap of the group's activities. I hope it wasn't too long, but I think, again, as I stressed at the beginning, we have people tuning in for the first time. This is only our second event of this group, so it's important to stress a bit under which umbrella this is all happening. So we can now move on to the, let's say, key discussion of the day. I'll leave the floor to my colleague Serena, to my right, who has a few updates to give about the Blockstand project that hopefully some of you know by this point if you're tuning in to talk about blockchain standardization today. Serena, the floor is yours. And then we'll be next with Pierre Marot for the keynotes and then for the workshop discussion. Thanks a lot and enjoy the workshop.
Thank you very much, Alex, and good afternoon, everyone. I will share indeed some updates on the project. You may know many things about it already because it was all the info was shared already during the focus group launch in December. So the Blockstand open call aims at providing financial support to experts working in blockchain standardization. We have an open call that is organized through a bi-monthly cutoff. The next cutoff date is on 15th of June, so you have still some weeks to prepare and submit your proposal. The call will be open for submissions until February 2025. The total amount of fundings that are available is 400,000 euro. So we aim at funding, providing support to 30 or 40 experts that can propose up to 100 contributions. Experts can submit their proposal for both short-term and long-term contributions. Short-term means that the contribution can cover one deliverable to be delivered in 3 months maximum, and for long-term contributions, we are expecting 2 or 3 deliverables to be submitted in maximum up to 9 months. Experts can propose different deliverables. You will find all the information on our website, on Blockstand website, but they can propose to draft technical reports, participate in working groups and technical groups in different standardization development organizations at both European and international level. Provide use cases, guidelines, and any other output that can be useful for both experts and in general for standardization community, including specifically SMEs, of course. Now we'll share some data on the first year of the project. So far, Blockstand has supported 17 experts coming from 10 European countries, so we are quite well represented, and we are of course expecting much more applications in the next year. So far, the experts have applied for mostly long-term contributions. We are funding currently 40 deliverables for a total value of 106,000 euro. I have some insights on the topics that are the ones related to the contributions proposed. As you can see, there are many different topics covered, such as smart contracts, circular economy, environmental sustainability, and also energy efficiency. Expert contribution furthermore involve also the work of experts in different standardization development organizations, both at European and international level. So our supported experts are expected to closely work with Sensenelec, for example, ETSI, ISO, IEEE, and other development standardization device deals. What's next? In the next few days or weeks, we are going to publish on our website some documents that will be useful for the entire blockchain standardization community, namely a report on blockchain inclusion to the rolling plan, which is one of the most important strategic document for the standardization landscape in the European Union in the last year, and we are expected to do so also in the next few years. Blockstand has participated in the discussion and in drafting some of the chapters of the rolling plan. So we have provided inputs in drafting for this document, and we are expecting also many contributions from our funded experts to integrate their inputs also in the next edition of the rolling plan. We are also about to publish a new version of the repository of blockchain standardization activities. A first version is already available on the Blockstain website, and it gathers the main blockchain standardization activities. We will add also some filters so that people can navigate this repository in a very easy way. In July, we are going to also publish the Standardization Gaps Recommendation Atlas that will gather all the inputs that we have collected over in the last year, and it will contain also some recommendations, analysis of the needs of key stakeholders, namely SMEs, EPSI community, and research and innovation community. In the next weeks, we will also publish the Europe Blockchain Leadership Outlook that will showcase some of our expert success stories. This will be very important to share the knowledge that all our experts already have, and they want to share it with the blockchain standardization community. So we will provide some figures and numbers on the project and other output that the experts have already provided. So thank you very much for your attention, and for any question, please feel free to get in touch.
Thanks a lot, Serena. And happy to see that the circular economy is already a topic being heavily touched upon by the funded experts, and I'm sure there'll be many more, hopefully after this workshop as well, applying and dealing into that topic. So we now have the chance to have Pierre Marot with us today, Policy Officer at the European Commission's DG Connect, and notably in charge of blockchain policy, to give us a keynote. Pierre, do you want to project your slides directly?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Very pleased to be with you, and thanks to you, Alexander, and to Serena for the introduction and the update on Blockstain project, which is a project that we support as part of our policy action. So very pleased to see the good progress. I'm sharing now my presentation, if I have the right to do it. It's not a keynote speech that I'm going to provide, but to introduce the workshop with a few slides. Is it okay? Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay. So first, because you asked me to not to focus directly on blockchain, but to introduce more our policy for digital and sustainability, and so I will start from one slide about digitalization or digital and sustainability, and then we'll gradually move toward let's say digital and green objective, and then to blockchain. So in the sustainability let's say dimension, we have three main elements to consider. One is, of course, the economic sustainability, the social one, and also the environmental one. And when we refer to sustainability, globally speaking, all those dimensions needs to be kept in mind. And but of course, today we will address more the environmental element, and exactly what could be the contribution of digital for those objectives. And the first question that is asked when we engage in this reflection is, can we consider that digital serve sustainability, or is it driven by other things? So probably the potential is that it serves sustainability, but it's not designed per se. And the idea is how we can progress through different initiatives concerning digital, about how to ensure that it will really contribute to sustainability, and in particular to the environmental element. Again, the two big priority of this current commission, and which will continue because we are far to have completely achieve all the objective for, in particular for the green transition, is to was on those two priorities have been on the green transition and the digital transformation. But the interplay between the two is not still remain a challenge about how to make it. And the first question which was addressed, or which have started to be addressed by different initiative contributing to this global objective, is if ICT or digital is part of the problem or more part of the solution. And then the question are how to green digital, because indeed, and in particular for blockchain, we can consider that digital is more part of the problem, and specific effort even needs to be done in order to make digital more green. So, and one of the key challenge which concerns this green transition and the digital transformation is to provide ways to measure things. Because so far, a lot of improvement has been, assessed in terms of potential, but it's really difficult to measure and to monitor if this potential is really something which can be achieved, and how those metrics can help to go towards this higher objective in terms of greening our activities. So if we have better metrics or better standardized methodology or standards to refer to, this can facilitate how to fund a specific digitization action, which contribute also to the green transition. We could, in particular, refer to green in public procurement, what we call green public procurement, which we have already some element for it existing for data center. And we can, let's say, facilitate the uptake, the adoption of a specific green digital solution in large sectors, like the one which I refer in this slide: energy, transport, construction, agriculture, and etc., etc. So next slide. I think there is one which is missing, but you have been a bit quick. Okay, so we have also taken specific initiative in order to make the digital technology more sustainable, in particular for this environmental aspect. Here you have some element of them. So this is something which is already proposed, which start to be implemented, but we are far from being at the end of all those process. We have, in particular, the last action on this green concern, the circular electronic initiative, and it makes the link with also the next slide, the circular economy and the circular objective, that for which digital solution, and in particular blockchain, could play a role. And I'm going to go further for it. So next slide, Alexander. I'm really sorry to impose you this change, but so in particular, as part of the transition for the circular economy, where we consider that digital can play a role, we have now all the work concerning the digital product passport, and this is something which can be implemented by a blockchain solution. And different legislation have been put in place in order to let's say, to accelerate this transition towards the digital economy. So in the next slide, you have an illustration of what is the circular economy, and what you need to keep in mind is that you see that it is a process with multi-parties concerning a different stage during the life of a project. And all those process concerning multi-parties where we need to keep track of different state of a given object or given system is of course potentially something that can be achieved or that can be facilitated with blockchain. And if you go to the next slide, this is in particular the case as illustrated here for the digital product passport. That's why we have even if the regulation which concern digital product passports is technology neutral, and my colleagues in charge of those regulation in DG GROW are not promoting blockchain as a first solution for this, but within the blockchain communities, or in particular through different projects that we support, we see as an important contribution that could be provided by blockchain. And this is something that could be discussed further during this workshop or later. Next slide. So you can, yes, this is a summary of the different action that we have launched in the context of blockchain and support to blockchain and DLT. So we have act at different level. One is to work together with the member state in order to develop and deploy a specific infrastructure focusing on public services, but that needs to be sustainable. We have worked on legal certainty, and the main, I would say, concrete achievement in the recent year have been the MiCA regulations for the market in crypto asset regulation, which pay a specific attention to the sustainability of blockchain or the solution which enabled the exchange of crypto asset. We have supported a lot of research innovation projects in different priorities of our program for research innovation, or Horizon 2020, and now Horizon Europe. And many of those projects concern sustainability or how to use blockchain for improving environmental aspect in multi-sectors, or like agri, like transport, as we said before. Okay, we have had different action to develop expertise, to exchange views, to have a better understanding. And not to list everything, but I would like to insist about our support on standardization, and I will come back to that. And also that through those different actions, we have a specific attention for what concern blockchain and sustainability, and in particular the support to the green agenda. So next slide. I will be very quick because it's just to remind that we support standardization, and as part of the action, we have the support to Blockstand project. Just to insist that this element is very important in our mix of policy action. And then I will conclude more by a specific action, next slide, concerning blockchain. And as I said already, for digital in general, but more specifically for blockchain, we have at first to consider blockchain for sustainability in that context for the green transition. And in particular, we have reference to blockchain in the Digital Energy Action Plan, which was adopted through communication of the Commission in late 2022. Our colleagues from DG Climate have made different studies and are continuing to studies about what could be the use of blockchain or DLT-based solution in order to improve different services that they need, in particular for emission trading, emission trading solution. We have, again, the support to the digital product passport as part of the eco-design for sustainable product regulation, which is already more advanced for the battery, and for which we have different projects which are looking about different ways to implement the digital product passport. And here again, blockchain can play a role. As part of the EPSI initiative, we have also some specific use case or pilot which are ongoing, and we have had also through different workshop of different experts, in particular with the observatory, with the Open Blockchain Observatory and Forum, report and debate that have been organized on the topic, and which are continue with the workshop like we have today. And my last slide would be, maybe not the last one, but just to illustrate the challenge also for blockchain and the energy consumption and the sustainability of blockchain itself. I mean, we know that the sector is already acting in order to reduce let's say, the carbon footprint impact of this technology. We have seen spectacular improvement in the context of Ethereum recently. But Bitcoin continue to exist for different reasons. It continue to consume a lot of energy, and at the same time, if we want to progress further, we need also to have a clearer, more harmonized and standardized methodology in order to compare the different solutions, and then maybe to consider some of them in priority through different future procurement or different solutions that will be deployed. And for that, there is different elements, is to compare the blockchain and DLT together. It's also to compare them with other digital, but it could be also to contextualize or to compare with non-digital solution. And what is the added value of those digital solutions. And the last slide, and then I will have finished for this quick introduction, is specific initiative indeed that we have launched, which overlap with the previous one. So I have already made reference to the MiCA regulation, which have a specific, let's say, element concerning a report on the environmental impact of the crypto asset. The Digital Energy Action Plan, which concerns the use of blockchain for improving energy system, but also to, in relation to MiCA, how to assess the situation of blockchain technology, and the need for specific methodology and standardization that we are going to discuss further today. And also the fact that through specific initiative like the EPSI-1, we have made already design choice which try to address the sustainability or eco-friendly approach for those solutions. And in this context, we have launched different projects, but we are still missing in any of those actions a methodology in order to be able to compare and to be very specific about the objectives that we want to achieve. That's it. I'm sorry for the lack of fluidity and for the presentation, but many thanks, and I hope that I can stay with you for all the rest of this workshop. But I may be called for another contribution, but I'm with you till.
Thanks a lot, Pierre. That's amazing. And even if it wasn't a keynote speech, as you said, we definitely had some great insights to get the discussion going. On the technology neutrality aspect of DPP, just to pick up on one point, I could see Belen shaking her head to my left. So I'm sure, as you were saying, that this can be most likely a topic for another discussion in more length another day. And we know that in general, it's a topic that is attracting a lot of attention. So thanks again, Pierre. I'll now leave things to Belen, who among her many hats, is the convener of Sensenelec JTC 19 Working Group 2 on environmental sustainability for blockchain and DLT. So I could not imagine a better person to lead this workshop. So you're in good hands. So I think, Belen, you're going to start with a quick overview and presentation of the scope of the discussion, and then we'll leave the floor to the rest of our speakers and, of course, the rest of the audience. As I mentioned at the beginning, more than welcome to raise your hand or leave a question in the chat, and we can make sure that you can ask it or relay it to the speakers. So thanks again, Pierre, and Belen, up to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex, and thank you very much, Pierre, and all the people attending online. Thank you very much, Pierre, because you introduced very well exactly the work we are doing on Sensenelec on Working Group 2. Normally, let me only just to identify a bit why we are working on Sensenelec and why we are working on this topic. So for those who are not normally engaged on blockchain scope, on DLT, distributed ledger technology scope, when we speak about maybe decision makers and we open the discussion about the possibility of these technologies for solve market problems, the first concept or the first idea is blockchain is equal to Bitcoin and is equal to energy consumption. It is not a friendly technology and we don't want to speak anymore. So it was exactly the one of the main obstacles the blockchain and these technologies are facing now in the market to scale. In addition, of course, to some concerns about new business models, the disruptions of value chains, and of course, technological aspect. But we thought about one of the main points, the main obstacle is to open the black box of environmental sustainability on blockchain. Of course, could be good also be able to link with the economic and social aspect, but for the moment, the key or the main obstacle is regarding the environmental aspect. And why on Sensenelec? Because blockchain is a global technology, it's not only at the European level. But it's true that we have to understand a standard needs to collaborate with regulation, collaborate with policies. And when we try to think if it's could be on ISO world, for instance, we understand that from the European level, we have priorities, political priorities on Green Deal and the double transition. And we have also regulatory use cases from which we can focus. No, please, on the previous slide. No, the first. Thank you. So, but yes, when we try to speak about environmental impact, and it was on Sensenelec, because Sensenelec, we have to remind that it's the only official standardization body at the European level. So there is different standardization agencies, but the only one is providing official standard is Sensenelec. The process to develop this standard is quite, let's say, intensive. In terms of quality, we need to reach consensus by countries from all the experts. So provide an harmonized methodology that is the key point in that case seems to be a good place from Sensenelec. And when we try to open this black box of environmental impact, we have to keep in mind standards and also avoid reinvent the wheel. And a standard on impact identify very clear that to provide a fair picture on any technology, on any solution, we should consider not only the negative impact, also the positive impact. And we have to understand very well what is the impact in which areas, and also be able to define a concrete impact, to measure this impact in order to provide comparability. It is why we start from two main points. Our first document was focused directly to the requirements also on legislation, on MiCA legislation, as Pierre commented before. It is a technical report to provide the methodology to classify the consensus mechanism that at the end of the day are the, let's say, the cornerstone of blockchain solutions. But this is will be to assess what is the negative impact. And on the other side, we have to consider what is the positive impact. And also we have to consider other criteria, not only energy consumption. There is other indicators in the discussion from the academia, from the industry. And we are working on a new work item proposal for develop a sustainability taxonomy on blockchain-based applications. And in some of the use case we are considering, exactly, it is the digital product passport, but also how blockchain could support sustainability, the new regulation on sustainability reporting. Next slide, please. And if we have to inform about environmental sustainability, if we want to provide any methodology, we have to also keep in mind that this work is a cross-cutting area between two different domains. One is on blockchain, technology, but also is on environmental management. And we have a very good reference on ISO, on 40,000 family series. And I highlight here one of them I think is quite important. It is 40,020 that provide the general principle for environmental labels and declaration. So in this standard, we have 10 fundamental principles, but I summarize here 4 of them to clarify a bit more. Fundamental principles said that any information regarding sustainability should be first credible. It means it should be provided by information that is trustful, reliable, and accurate, and not misleading. It is quite important if we want to provide trust to the market. Second, should be based on evidences, not exactly on assumption or subjective criteria. The third point should be transparent and with supporting information upon request. And the fourth should consider life cycle perspective. It is quite important because today there is a lot of blockchain applications that are a feature of a bigger solution. So we are using blockchain in combination with AI, in combination with other technologies, and we have to provide the big picture of life cycle. In this regard, the DPP, European Digital Product Passport, is a very good example. Next slide, please. So at the end, we have to solve some key problems to open this black box. First, think on if we have really data, if the solution are collecting data, so the availability of the data and also the right data. So we have to consider it's difficult to provide granularity on some key data, but we have, in case we design a methodology, we should think on this point. But second, are these data reliable? So we have to provide also a procedure in where be able to provide reliable data. And it should be, in case we want to compare, based on harmonized indicators, because maybe I am one solution is thinking on energy consumption and another solution is thinking on green gas emissions. So at the end, we need to harmonize indicators, and we need to provide a proper methodology that, let's say, not the same, but the harmonized methodology that should be defendable and also rational. And we have to agree on how we will report in all of this information in order to compare. It should be the requirement, but also we have to keep in mind some important aspects. First, proportionality. We are here on the SBS office, so it's quite important to think on avoid overburden small players in the market and also all kind of organization to provide this data. We have to work from materiality. Materiality is a very well-known concept on sustainability, most probably outside not, but it is regarding what really matters. So what is the key information I have to provide to avoid overburden the industry providing data and data nobody cares. And we have to avoid kill innovation. We have to understand that blockchain is an embryonic stage of development. Most of the projects are in pilot stage, so we have to promote also innovation. SME is inclusion and a small player that is critical. This technology, proposed from the beginning the democratization of the industry. So it is quite important. Keep in mind, and at the end, avoid the concentration in the market and promote the single market. So we have to balance between all of these aspects. Next slide, please. And we have to think what is the added value of the work we are doing. And it was perfect, the presentation of Pierre, because you can see here some of the European initiative that Pierre introduced before. In that case, MiCA regulation and support to the European Security Market Authority. So our technical report is directly related to the draft, standardization draft they have to provide. Also, the EU action plan that Pierre introduced it before, so I will not go in detail, but of course, blockchain and DLT, both infrastructure and services could be very relevant. And also Pierre commenting about the European blockchain service infrastructure and provide a green public procurement. And okay, let's speak about the industry. Let's speak how, for instance, we can support the industry to provide more quality and better risk management in their own sustainability reporting, or understand and measure their environmental impact. And last but not the least, I include here society and the planet, but we have to understand on sustainability scope, we are not only speaking about the industry, we are speaking about a bit diverse range of stakeholders should be considered also from the beginning in the information we need to collect, how we will analyze and report this information. Next slide, please. And here we are speaking about MiCA, so I would like to only emphasize a bit more about this family of standards that is needed to comply with the MiCA regulation. And according ISMA, is not exactly our approach, but we are fully agree. Comparability is better ensured with indicators that are based on harmonized methodologies. So exactly is what we need. These methodologies will be, let's say, the main driver in order to understand, measure, manage and report sustainability, environmental sustainability of this technology. And in the case of MiCA, they identify as a key indicators, of course, energy consumption, but at the end of the day, the energy consumption is not the main driver of climate change. So we have to consider greenhouse gas emission, that is quite important. And also we have to consider the use of natural resources in the life cycles perspective, so on production, on use, and also on disposal. So here you have some dimensions, some feature. The discussion is very large because we can imagine a lot of use cases to be included in our work. It is only, let's say, the first stage of work. Our working group is very happy to receive the support on the industry of experts and of course the European institution to continue develop this key standard for the moment. So I don't know, Alex, if we can move.
Yeah, we have a question already, which I think you can probably address. It's going back to one of your first slides on the technical reports and then the new work item proposal. There's a question from Joseph Karras in the chat, who's asking at what stage is the development of that standard for the taxonomy of application for blockchain? So maybe a few words about this. I know that some of the work being developed is confidential, but maybe some indications you can share with Joseph and the rest of the audience.
Regarding to this technical specification, we conducted an intensive research. We have several preliminary meetings where we have to define the scope, we have to define the rationality and why it's important to develop this document, and we conclude this stage, and now we are looking for the support from countries. As I mentioned on Sensenelec, everything should be agreed by ballots from countries, and we need to have the go from the countries to continue progressing in this work. So it is a very good moment if the industry or SMEs have inputs to include this input in the drafting of this technical specification.
Thanks a lot. Joseph, you know where to reach out if you want to share your input. So I suggest we move on to the open floor discussion. So as mentioned at the beginning, we have different experts with us today to share their inputs. Again, if from the audience side you want to take the floor, make an intervention, raise your hand on Zoom or put a message in the chat, and we'll make sure to give you the possibility to make your intervention or ask your question to the speakers. If there aren't any questions to start with, I suggest Belen.
Yes. If we have no more question for the moment, let's continue the discussion, because we are very happy to come with very qualified expert that sure will add important insight to the discussion. So as you introduced before all of them, in any case, I will ask them in a couple of minutes if they can introduce a bit more about the work they are doing, but also reply a general question. If you think that this work is important for the industry, and in case, I hope yes, why you think it's important based on your experience. So please, in that case, Gregor, let's start from you. Can you explain a bit more? Thank you.
My main job is here to be a kind of technical information, so I will share with you some of this information. The one is that the Bitcoin network can only handle approximately 5 transactions per second, which costs us as a society, as a, what's the word, 830 kilowatts per hour per transaction. In contrast, Ethereum can handle 15 transactions per second, which means that it's 50 kilowatts per transaction, which is much more better. And this is, it could be a beginning of to estimate how much energy we are using, because its total power consumption is total hash rate. Hash means the transaction multiplied by energy per hash, and we can have how much energy is used by the different consensus algorithm. This is the first one thing, but I would like to bring to your attention, all of you, that this is the, as I call it, binary computation. But please consider that very soon the situation will be changed, because, as you know, the main job of the people who develop the blockchain is the cryptography. And this part of the knowledge is not sleeping. They are developing very fast, and we should follow them. Of course, there is plenty of different consensus algorithms, but my question always is the same. Are we ready to describe in our work, in our technical report, all known technology, which could be very complicated due to problem that is around 100 of consensus algorithms? This is the first question. Should we consider only some of them, and why that and not others? This is the first question. Next question is, are we able to foresee the future? Because technical standards should be not for the next, I don't know, 3 years, but in this case, we should consider the quantum computing, which is still developing by the companies in terms of hardware. And on the second hand, on the software, the cryptographists are still working and developing new solutions. So the question is, if the so far existing consensus algorithm could survive this quantum computing revolution, which will be, as probably most of you know, starting next year, because many of the companies like Hewlett-Packard or IBM or some others declare that the next year they will starting deliver quantum computers. So it will be a new kind of challenges which we should follow as a technical specialist and to preparing a report, because, as you know, standard could not be just for today, should be for tomorrow, for quite a bit long time. So this is my open question, the problems to be solved and to be discussed. And of course, as our main objective is to do our job as fast as possible, means by the end of this year, we should finalize their job. We are still looking for good specialists from the industry and from the science to help us develop our problems and to clarify all the questions which already we have raised and do not have a reply on that. And this is the kind of voice to act, to asking for acting for the all people involved in this blockchain and DLT industry, or only activities to help us solve our problems. Thank you so far.
To all the industry and expert. You are mentioned to the technical report, so the audience should understand that we are thinking now on the negative impact of the technology. Let's move to the positive impact. And then, Eric, please tell us a bit more about first, if you consider that is important, this topic, and second, how do you think blockchain could support, for instance, the sustainability reporting new regulation that is something quite important at the European level, and especially for SMEs that have not mandatory, depending on the size of the SMEs, but in any case, it could represent an important or significant competitive position, competitive advantage for those organizations that are informing on sustainability questions. So please tell us about the use of blockchain in this scope. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and a pleasure to be able to speak. Thank you for inviting me. I come to you from the United States, from the glorious south central part of Pennsylvania. I am a small and a medium, an SME myself, a very, very small one. I run a not-for-profit organization, but not on purpose. My focus has been in the area of accounting, audit, and business management, and I have traditionally begun presentations saying that I invite you to join me and for me to join you in a chaotic quest that someday a piece of business information, once entered into any computer anywhere, would never need to be retyped as it moves along the business reporting supply chain. In that area, I have been passionate about trying to help SMEs such as myself be able to compete with the big guns, the large consulting firms and the like. And standards in particular are an incredible tool, as standards are a great equalizer. Large companies like to find some unique thing, create cookie cutter solutions for that, and throw people who don't know what they're doing at the problem, whereas SMEs can bring their expertise to a wide variety of opportunities if we have standards in place that let us look at many different problems with commonalities in the same way. I have put 2 links into the chat, one for a list of ISO technical committees, and Gregor and I and some others are involved in ISO TC 307, and that focuses on blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. If you are an SME and you have an opportunity to be part of your country's mirror committees, this is an incredible opportunity for you to gain knowledge, build a huge network of people who care about the topic. They may be your next clients, they may be your next helpers and partners. 307 focuses on blockchain. As a representative of 307, I'm also a liaison too, and so I have access to many other technical committees and groups in the ISO in sustainability space. We already heard about the group that puts out ISO 14000 series of environmental standards. That's ISO TC 207, and I'm a liaison from the blockchain group to that. We heard earlier about ISO 322, a group with ISO 322. We heard about circular finance. We heard about, I'm a liaison to the sustainable finance group. They have a brand new group on how to apply ESG principles, which is just developed this year. And for those of you who are consultants like me, they've got a new group out of China, focused out of China in the area of management consultancy. So I gave you, again, first a list of technical committees, and then I gave you a list to the online browsing platform. And this is a place where you can see details about the standards. You can see definitions. You can see what's going on. If you're a management consultant like me, you can see how they're digging into that. But again, on the sustainability side, as a SME, as a consultant, as a recovering auditor, I would help my clients with their accounting systems. And everyone had different methods of putting together their data, and all sorts of different people, whether the tax people, the security people, the statutory regulators, they all wanted their data. And so I began an effort. One of the people, something called XBRL, which you may or may not have heard of. If you've heard of XBRL, I don't know whether to say I'm sorry or you're welcome. But through those efforts, I began working with many, many different organizations in sustainability space. So 25 years ago, if this isn't too blurred out, my name is on page XV of the Value Reporting Revolution by Bob Eccles, Bob Hurst, and others, talking about the digitization of the information that we need. So my introduction into sustainability.
Eric, if I understand well, just to clarify, your answer is yes. So you think that it's quite important that we cover this topic?
Yeah, and so I will finish up in 30 seconds here.
Yeah,
to say, working in digitization for 25 years, working with the Carbon Disclosure Project, working with the SASB, working with the Global Reporting Initiative. We've been working to digitize that information, bringing that together with blockchain, and trying to make it so that both blockchain can help with those efforts, but also those efforts could be help as we look at blockchain. And I happen to run into the work of Scott Stranetta and Stuart Haber, whose names are mentioned 3 times in the Bitcoin white paper, leveraging the meta blockchain work, and have been working in that space again for 25 years. And don't mean to over-introduce.
No, but it is. Thank you for the introduction. It's very extensive knowledge from which you can reply in a couple of minutes, because we
Absolutely.
have to, the clock is run. But in a couple of minutes, you will be able, sure, to explain us why you think that blockchain can be used for sustainability reporting, compared with centralized solution, as mentioned before, Pierre.
Absolutely.
At the end is the discussion why we have to use blockchain instead of centralized solution.
Yes. Thank you for reeling me in.
Thank you. Eric? Go, please. If you can reply in a couple of minutes, and then we can move to another
going into blockchain more specifically. Absolutely. So as I mentioned, going back even before the Satoshi Nakamoto paper, the concepts of digitization of information, the concept of a seamless, transparent, cryptographically supported public audit trail. That's been an area of my research again for 25 plus years, in particular working with the people at Rutgers Continuous Audit Lab, a gentleman named Miklos Vasarhelyi, who's known as the father of continuous audit. In that way, we've been looking at how we can take data, how we can bring it from many different sources, how we can, again, use cryptographic means and methods, as Gregor had talked about, to be able to store that into write once audit trails. Again, we can go way before the 2008 Bitcoin white paper. We can go back a few years before, where another gentleman named Ian Grigg came out with something that he called triple entry accounting or triple entry bookkeeping, which talked about all these things that blockchain, as we know it, has brought to pass. Going back to some of the principles here, how can we take information cryptographically, put it in place, make sure it's public, and create an environment where people can trust the information that's coming out from different sources once it leaves the hands of the reporter, being combined with other sources in a trustworthy manner. Bringing that to the other way around, now we have the generative AI bringing a much better focus on artificial intelligence and its capabilities. We have in the world of blockchain, the decentralized autonomous organizations, the DAOs, where blockchains can be self-reporting and self-governing. We have the concept of oracles, which can bring in information from different sources. And so just the concept, again, in brief here, that blockchains can potentially become self-aware, aware of what they're doing, aware of the transactions coming through, aware of their impact, and using blockchains not only to take information related to sustainability. Here in the United States, absolutely, we've been watching things like the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD, the mandates going on there. We've recently had in the United States the Security and Exchange Commission with its final rules on the greenhouse gas emissions. And so, and again, we've got things at the state level, like in California. So we've got this long stand of the demand for corporate reporting going beyond just the financial information to the long-standing, the self-disclosure, and now the mandatory disclosures, where again, blockchain is both a tool, so we can be using blockchain as a means of sustainability reporting and tracking people and collecting information from different parties who might not otherwise trust themselves, to bring them all together through interoperability, which is what we've been shooting for in ISO TC 307, to the ability to have the blockchain tracking its own information. Our representative from the European Commission earlier talked about the different standards, different means, different reporting, different countries, different nations, the difference between what goes on in the US, how we relate things to digital signatures and cryptography, as opposed to Europe, as opposed to Japan, as opposed to Africa. So being able to bring together parties that might not trust each other, where there is no single trusted intermediary, to bring together the requirements, to have a channel to represent all these things. And again, for the SMEs who are here, to be able to give you the ability to function, the ability to contribute, and the ability to understand better compliance requirements yourself, and then cope with these changes.
If you agree, we can summarize that we are providing integrity in a complex value chain, maybe outside of the borders of jurisdiction and legal requirements. So it is quite important. Let's move later to this topic, but now let's give the floor also to Tom, because Tom, you can also help us to understand a bit more about the use of blockchain on the digital product passport that was introduced before by Pierre. But you are also a qualified expert, coming and understanding very well the environmental impact on different technologies. So please, first, of course, introduce you.
Yes, thank you.
Let's look forward to work near to the clock. So please tell us about the main obstacle you think we have to face, and also the use of blockchain for DPP. Thank you.
Thank you, Bella, and thank you all for joining. So yes, just to give a bit of context, I'm for the last few years very active in AUTI, in the DLT benchmarking activities. So we have an approach of demonstrators in testbeds, and also a specific cluster in our testbeds in AUTI Alliance, with the focus on performance of different protocols and also energy efficiency. Because actually within our membership, which is actually a wide group of companies active in IoT, but IoT is very wide these days. So big and smaller companies, and within our membership, there are obviously also a lot of European funded projects, and some of these funded projects have very important blockchain components. But despite the fact that they have been developing great applications, very mature, I mean, smart contracts implementation, for example, in the energy sector, think about data market for energy trading, grid balancing. So there are very big deployed and validated pieces of blockchain technology. But despite the fact that they are proven and they are very well connected to the legacy and so on, they fail to attract traditional market finance. So there is no widespread market adoption. And the fact that the technology on itself has a bad connotation, like it has been already said several times here on the call, the bad connotation of being very dirty technology is one of the main reasons, to our perspective, that traditional market finance does not flow into all these applications, despite the evidence they bring. So that's why we started. We are a member-driven organization, very flexible. When we want to do things, it can happen tomorrow. We start to do these benchmarking activities in different infrastructure, and we start to benchmark different protocols. So Hyperledger, Ethereum, IOTA, and some experimentals. So problem was that we did not do this on a common infrastructure. So we're now, that's one of the challenges, actually, also to extend on your earlier question, Belen. To do this, you need to have a common infrastructure. You need to give all the protocols the same chances, the same hardware, the same resources. Otherwise, it's simply not comparable. Need to be fair also. And in my own professional background, I'm testing software since the last 24 years, traditional software, totally centralized, banks, SWIFT, the Schengen Homeland Security System, for example. I've been a test manager there. So let's say now this testing activities in the blockchain space is very much the coming together of my two professional spaces. And so we're doing this, we're accelerating this. We have recent access to nearly unlimited infrastructure to replay our tests on common grounds, actually, on common infrastructure. The challenge in this is to fully automate it. Also, to be comparable, you need to pass through a lot of static assessment, because having the concept of a successful transaction in one DLT does not easily compare to another DLT. So just to define what it means to have a successful transaction and so on, we spend a lot of time in static research before we even touch a line of code. So anyway, this is a bit to answer your first question, Belen, the challenge actually is actually the lack of traditional market finance flow into the blockchain space because of the bad connotation of the technology. And that's why I think we all agree, I think, that it's a must to objectively report and to make things comparable, and therefore a standard obviously is needed. Not only a standard in the reporting, like Eric Cohen represents, the XBRL is a very solid format for the reporting, but it's also about the methodology, and it's about to agree on the infrastructure and so on. So it's a very big challenge to put all these things in a line. But yeah, as we said, we will collaborate on this further. Our activities are accessible for everyone. I will share a few links here in the chat. So it's an ongoing activity, and it's also a never-ending activity. So I'm also looking forward to the 2 cents of Lena and the Carbon Institute. So yeah, it's a big challenge, but it's ongoing, and we welcome everyone to the floor.
Yeah,
I hope that answered your
absolutely.
question, Belen, or you want
Yes,
to extend?
you answered my question, and also you helped me to introduce Lena. That is our next speaker, because we need also to know about how in the current moment, there is some solution providing information and providing some methodologies, not harmonized, but it's a methodology, so it's a good start. So Lena, please could tell us a bit more about your approach, and also I understand that it's implicit you are agreed that it's an important topic.
Yes, thank you very much, Belen, for the introduction. I will first give a little bit of background about CCRI before diving a bit deeper into our approaches and methodologies. So I'm one of the co-founders of CCRI, Cryptocarbon Ratings Institute, and we are a data provider for sustainability metrics of crypto assets. And I founded CCRI together with my two co-founders in 2021 after we have spent several years together in academic research, looking into the environmental impacts of blockchain at Technical University of Munich, but also at MIT. And then in 2021, there has been a lot of demand from industry to learn more about the sustainability impacts of crypto assets. And this is how CCRI was born, as industry asked to update the data of our academic papers and to provide this data to the industry. And since then, CCRI has developed into the largest data provider with the largest coverage of sustainability metrics of crypto assets. And we are currently tracking around 30 crypto assets from various consensus mechanisms, and also are continuously increasing our data set. And we work together with blockchain networks themselves to measure their sustainability impacts and energy efficiency. For example, Consensus mandated us to measure the electricity consumption and GHG emissions of Ethereum pre and post-merge. And also we work together with networks like Cardano, Filecoin, and Polygon, among others. But also financial market players use our data for indices, carbon accounting, and emission reporting. And we have developed our methodologies based on our research, and we have approaches that are tailored to the underlying consensus mechanism. So for proof of work, we use techno-economic models based on the hash rate and the profitability of the hardware, as it has also been mentioned before. And also we looked into the miner locations to translate then also the electricity consumption into CO2 emissions. And also these models can help us to tell us more about the waste production, for example, which now gets relevant under MICA, as we know the probability of the hardware and the representative basket set, so to say. For nearly all other consensus mechanisms, so for proof of stake, but also many other consensus mechanisms such as proof of work, we are able to physically measure really the electricity consumption and the energy efficiency, which is not so easy for proof of work. And we do this while setting up nodes in the network on a representative hardware set and measure the associated electricity consumption in a controlled environment. So Tom de Block has already mentioned it is important to do this always on the same hardware set in the same environment to ensure comparability. And this helps us to assess the energy efficiency of the network, but also, for example, how the electricity consumption is connected through the node, through the transaction throughput, for example. And based on this primary data that we collect, we can then calculate also other metrics. So, for example, we can calculate the entire electricity consumption of a network. We can translate this then into GHG emissions. And also we can translate this into the hardware used, the waste production, as we have done the assessment before on a representative hardware set. And we use this harmonized approach for all the crypto assets we have in our data set to ensure comparability. And we also provide many of our data on our website, which is publicly available, and also our methods can be read up in our API documentation. I'm also happy to share the links on that. So this was a very brief overview of what we are doing at CCRI in our approach to measure and monitor sustainability metrics of crypto assets.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thanks, Lina, and also for addressing the points of Tom. I do not see any other questions at this point in the chat other than the ones that were previously addressed. After this first round of presentations and questions by the panelists, if there's anybody who wants to raise their hands, make an intervention, ask something directly, feel free. You can raise your hands on Zoom, and then we can give you the floor. Until then, and at any point, please feel free. Belen, if you have any follow-ups for some of the speakers.
Yes, I think that we can agree that it's a very big topic. We see that it's very polyedric. There is a different approaches, different methodologies, different viewpoints, and I think that maybe to complete the picture, we can open also the opportunity to speak Christian. Christian is team members of our working groups, and Christian will introduce, because one of the main purpose of this workshop is to receive input from the industry, from Lena, from Eric, Tom, and any others in the chat. But we want to hear all the voices, not only the industry, also we need to hear the voice of different stakeholders. So before to introduce the short survey we would like to circulate today, we would like to make a short reflection about the understand all the actors engaged on sustainability topics on blockchain, and then how they can contribute. So please, maybe Christian, you can, the floor is yours. You can let us about this thinking.
Yeah, thank you very much, Belen. So my name is Christian Grafenauer. I have a technical background, so studied IT, got a bit into legal, and I basically stumbled across a path where I was asking, how can I as a techie actually have a better impact on social aspects and on ethical aspects of technology? And through a couple of stations, this led me into standardization, and I'm currently representing consumer interests in the blockchain and also for ANEC on the artificial intelligence standardization that is currently happening. And so I'm very happy to be in the meetings with the technical experts and actually bring this consumer-oriented perspective, because I feel that sometimes some angles are kind of missed or basically overlooked, or people think there aren't solutions possible because it just hasn't been done yet. But if you dig a bit deeper into all the innovative stuff that is out there, you can basically see, hey, there is actually a potential solution that we can use and make things better. So I like to look at myself as somebody who loves innovation, who wants to drive innovation, who doesn't want to stand in the way of it and say, hey, you can't do that, you can't do this, but it's rather looking at the problem and says, hey, where can we find an optimal solution for this, which is a win-win for all the stakeholders that are basically in the industry, for the policymakers, for industry, and also for the consumers, and in this case, for the sustainability experts. Yeah, so this is my general gist, and I believe everything that needed to be said about the topic we already heard from all the experts that have been talking. And with that, I don't want to take up too much time, and I'm looking forward to present the survey later on. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Christian. I think that you can maybe introduce the survey now, and then we can open the last round of comments from the other speakers, because I am sure that after the introduction of the survey, Tom, Eric, Gregor, and Lena could make some comments about. So please go ahead and introduce the survey, and we can finish the discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Then if you could go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so this is me. I'm gonna present the survey. I think I already said enough about myself. So, oh, all my beautiful pictures are gone. This is sad. Well, anyhow, I'm presenting a introduction. We're basically making a call for the participation in working group 2 of Senelec JTC 19 on the environmental sustainability on blockchain for blockchain standards. The target audience that we're looking for, besides sustainability and civil society representatives, is small players in SME that are running blockchains, that kind of already have thought a bit or have a use case that can bring us some inspiration on how to how to measure the sustainability impact on blockchain in a standardized way. And the objective of the survey is to to outline the importance of varied industry input and shaping the robust and effective blockchain standards. Next slide, please. So there is a big need for the sustainability in blockchain. As we've heard about the expert, there is this rumor out there that blockchain technology is environmentally not sustainable. But I believe we already showed a little bit that this basically isn't true for all of blockchain technology. Like Bitcoin is basically like the dinosaur, the first of its kind. And in the last 13 years, no, it's 15, in the last 15 years, a lot of progress has been made, a lot of improvements have been made, and we kind of have now very prominent alternatives for proof of work, where basically the incentivized mechanism to run a mode is, in my opinion, the biggest problem. So it's not really a technical problem that can't be solved, but it's rather an economical problem where, long story short, greed leads to the high energy consumption. And there are a lot of different aspects from very different angles that need to be considered and that need to be put together. Next slide, please. So we are looking for stakeholder engagement with an all-inclusive approach. So we want to bring technologists, policymakers, sustainability experts, and business leaders or industry representatives to one table, so everybody can chip in their knowledge, chip in their experiences, and we can find an optimal solution for a problem. So the multi-stakeholder benefit is that we're going to end up with a balanced standards if all interests are respected, and through that we achieve through that broad involvement we achieve high levels of compliance and also make the way free for a wider adoption of the technology. Next slide, please. Now, there's just something, I believe we heard a lot about the industry perspective, but since I am a consumer representative, I want to take this one slide to also point the finger in the direction where I see a certain risk and danger. So we have civil society represented, and we also have technical experts and industry experts in the standardization round at the moment. But I see a critical underrepresentation of sustainability experts in the working group. So if any of your organization has already included some sustainability research or has a sustainability expert in the team, I very urgently invite you to contribute to our efforts in working group 2 so we can basically make progress with this. Belen is already working on a liaison to get some sustainability experts who are already active in standardization on board to participate in this. I'm really looking forward to this, but just as the development is at the moment, I want to point out this risk, because if we don't resolve this, we could have problems like with the impact on credibility of the standard. It could be framed as greenwashing, which I feel would be a big shame, because it would undermine the credibility of the work that we're doing very, very heavily. And also, yeah, like I said, sustainability expertise is crucial. And it would also undermine the potential of the impact of the standard. Next slide, please. So the stakeholders that we're looking for is, I feel a bit like I'm repeating myself, but here just to spell it out, it's civil society representative, small players and SMEs, sustainability experts, technical experts, and policymakers. Next slide. And with those experts at the table, we're going to be able, next slide, please. With those experts at the table.
And that we have to finish in a couple of minutes, so please let's go directly if you agree with only the key points to avoid miss something important at the end. Okay, please.
Absolutely, I'm right on track, Belen. So let me reel back to my point. So with all those experts at the table, we're going to end up with agnostic and consensus-based standards that reflect all the relevant things. They're going to be consensus-driven, and they're going to be future-ready for all the things that we're going to face. Next slide. So, and with that, I'm going to come to the point that Belen is desperately waiting for me to get to and present you the 12 questions that we have worked up in our survey. Next slide, please. So that is question number 1, is blockchain and DLT technology used in your organization? Question number 2, do you know what consensus algorithms is used in your system? Question number 3, do you consider the environmental impact when choosing a consensus algorithm or blockchain solution? Question number 3, are you aware of the environmental sustainability impact of the established incentive structure to participate in the network? Question number 5, does your cloud solution provider or otherwise hosted network nodes use sustainable energy sources? Question number 6, are you using cloud solutions that offer blockchain technology? Next slide, please. Question number 7, do you estimate or collect any information on the environmental impact of your solution? Question number 8, do you have a concrete methodology to assess the environmental impact? Question number 9, what indicator or indicators do you use for an environmental assessment? For example, energy consumption, natural resources, greenhouse gas emissions, etc. Question number 10, do you know how many network nodes are in your blockchain DLT network? Question number 11, do you have network analysis tools in place to monitor nodes? And question number 12, are you conducting an analysis of natural resources used based on an analysis of the production, use, and disposal of DLT network node equipment? And next slide, that was it so far with my presentation. I want to thank you for your attention and want to open the round for Q&A and feedback for my presentation, or if Belen wants to take it to a broader scope. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Christian. Maybe just to clarify for the follow-up of this presentation, I think the aim of Christian and Belen and of the working group 2 at Sensenelec is to distribute this survey across different people. So we will be doing it at the end of this workshop. We'll circulate it by email. The survey will also be available on the forum page of the focus group, so people can find it there. And then, of course, as Christian was saying, you can reach out to him or Belen anytime to get more details on how to get involved and how to answer the survey, and especially the follow-ups that can be expected from it. So thanks again, Christian. I don't know if we have any other questions coming up from the audience. If not, perhaps the panelists have a final reaction to this. I see Tom has his hand up. Tom, go ahead.
Yes, actually, I have a question, more of a general question to Belen and to Sensenelec, actually, because in our earlier work, so I also shared it in the chat, we have made an assessment, or one of the AOTI working groups on standardization has made an assessment on the carbon footprint calculation methodologies which are available, and there are many available. So one moment in the near future, I think if we listen to Commission and to some people in the field, we talk about 2 to 3 years from now, more and more people will need to report on the footprint. But how is it handled, actually, the fact that there are so many standards? And actually, so if you think about, like, if you have too many standards, then you have no standard anymore. Based on what in the taxonomy Commission or so gonna select one of the methodologies to make the calculation? Because if the taxonomy is attached to it, then everyone needs to play by the same rules, meaning in this case, calculate its impact by the same methodology, or the same standard. So how is this handled in the European grounds, let's say, because our main interest, of course, here is first in Europe. Belen or someone, can you reply to that?
Yeah, very, very short. It is exactly the work we are doing now on the technical specification, because before to develop any document, we have to assess and analyze the references coming from other standard, references coming from the academia and also from the industry. So it is the work we are doing now in order also to agree in consensus what is the right approach in order to integrate them in a better manner and to create a better methodology, applicable in any case. So it is the work we are doing, and I invite you to reach and contribute to this work. Lena, you have any comments, any question? You have your hand up.
Happy to contribute to this, because I was thinking that with the carbon footprint calculations, there are many standards out there, I agree, but there are also quite some established standards, especially in the corporate carbon accounting field. So the GHG protocol has laid out some standards and has also refined them over the years. And of course, they have also their pros and cons, so to say, but these are the standards that are used now already by many companies and also for many applications. So it could also make sense to look also closely at the standards to ensure also comparability with other digital solutions, for example, as Pierre Marot has also said in his keynote, should also be the key to compare across applications and industries, and therefore it is important to not go on a lonely route, but to incorporate what others are doing and what is common sense there.
Thank you, Lena, for point. It is exactly I mentioned about materiality. So we have to establish what it's really material, speaking about blockchain, speaking about one concrete use cases. And it is why I explained that from the beginning, we look for SENS-ENELEC, because despite there is a different standard, it is the only official standard, and we have to push from there to harmonize methodologies in order to facilitate comparability and also interoperability between approaches. Please, Christian, you have any comments?
Yeah, thank you very much, Tom, for that question. And I think you're really putting the finger on one of the most important and critical aspects that we're trying to, or problems that we're trying to solve with that standardization work. And so at the beginning, the discussion was really more about proof of work versus proof of stake, and that it was limited to. I've been trying to break the narrative a bit more open to basically rather come to an approach where we extrapolate certain categories and let's say properties of the technology, that we end up with technology and implementation agnostic metrics. So we can basically explain, hey, this is our methodology framework. This is how you would calculate the energy consumption or the sustainability impact for this particular implementation. And we would do that with like the more commonly known variants. But that if you have a very innovative solution who doesn't really fit any of the previously established boxes, that you can still apply the methodology to your particular solution and implementation. Because I believe being open and not excluding innovative new blockchain solutions is very, very important here, because this would also stand in the way of innovation a lot. So if that answers your question, thank you.
Tom, do you have a final reaction to this?
Yes, well, it's not really a final reaction. It's just like a consideration, actually, because when I see the model how we can do it on the protocol level, but actually there's not such a thing like a blockchain implementation. Blockchain is always part of a combined implementation. A platform or a use case is never only blockchain. So, and then there's also another thing to consider. Sometimes the fact that blockchain is in an infrastructure makes certain other pieces of the legacy obsolete. So it also serves by putting it in place. It also by its own architecture and by the elements of data integrity, for example, you don't need, let's say, backup units for certain cases and so on. So to consider the real impact of this technology in a specific implementation is not just about measuring the DLT component and see how clean or dirty this compares to the others, but it's also how adding the digital solution into a manufacturing case or something, how it actually improves, and also to avoid other carbon footprint in this specific case. So it's very challenging to think about it and to come to something like a model that would encapsulate all that. So I'm really looking forward to what's gonna come out of the work.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Eric, maybe your final last points. If you can keep it under 1 minute, that'd be perfect. We have to
Absolutely.
close. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. I want to encourage the audience to engage with these ideas, collaborate on the development of sustainable standards for blockchain and sustainable blockchain standards related to sustainability, and to explore the numerous opportunities at this intersection of blockchain and sustainability. A lot of the reporting is going to be in an XBRL format. We're throwing that name out. There was a CAMS assessment of XBRL GL at an underlying detail level so that we can standardize data that goes into blockchains, but together we can harness the power of this transformational technology and drive meaningful progress towards a more sustainable future. And I hope I kept that under a minute.
That was perfect. Couldn't have done it better. Thanks a lot, Eric. Thanks a lot to all the speakers today. Tom, Lena, Christian, Gregor, Pierre, Belen, of course, for moderating. Thanks to the audience as well. As mentioned, we'll be able to share the survey, as we've discussed by Christian and Belen, by email by next week, most likely. We'll also leave it in the forum page of the focus group for registered members if you want to access it at any time and discuss your contributions with other people as well. Of course, you can get in touch with any of us by email. And if you want to submit, last points, if you want to submit your blockchain solution to the catalog that I presented at the beginning of this workshop, feel free as well. I'll make sure to send the link in the follow-up communication by next week. On that note, thanks again. Have a very nice end to your day. And we hope and look forward to continuing the discussion through different means. So see you soon and be well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.